Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our talk about crafting creative chat prompts for faculty interactions in the online classroom. We're really excited to talk about this topic because we want to continue making AI tools really relatable for our students and faculty, and we think that this conversation will help us take a step forward in that area. So let's go ahead and dive in and introduce ourselves. My name is Callista Dawson. I'm the Learning Experience Design Manager here at LAPU. George, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm George Hanshaw. I'm the director of the DLS, Digital Learning Solutions. I almost said Design Learning Solutions. It got stuck in there, put on a loop. Digital Learning Solutions, and I also teach for Los Angeles Pacific University, and I adjunct teach for Purdue University, where we love AI, and we love it not because it's replacing anything, but it's being an assistant to us. And I absolutely love that as a faculty member.
And Kenna.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kenna Miller, and I'm a senior instructional designer here at LAPU. I'm really excited to talk about this topic today as well.
Okay, so the first question I have for both of you as faculty and ID, what are some of the typical faculty interactions that you see in the online classroom?
And Kenna is helping teach. Is this your first class with the high-performing classroom? Is that your first one that you're teaching? She's helping me teach that class right now, doing an amazing job with it.
Yeah, in college I was a TA, but I didn't have a whole lot of, access to the online or the LMS. So this is the first opportunity I have to really engage with the students from that perspective.
And how are you doing that? How are you engaging?
Yeah, so we do a couple different things in the course. A lot of it is posting announcements, replying to students in the discussion forum, and even offering opportunities to come to like a synchronous session, which I believe is tonight, right, George?
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. And if anybody is interested in that, I know that we're asynchronous, so we're kind of seeing where that will go. But for the most part, that's how we try to interact with students and encourage them throughout the course.
And George, would you say that that's also true for you? Are there other ways that you also interact online with students?
Yeah, the discussion forums are huge. Whenever we do synchronous live sessions, like Ken was saying, we have one tonight. Those are big. The synchronous live sessions are generally in the courses we teach optional. So we never really know. Maybe everybody's showing up, maybe nobody's showing up, but they always have that kind of variation. So that in the discussion forums, and then doing different widgets and things where like quizzes with interactions where we video interactions, things like that are parts of what we do. Yeah.
Okay, so where I want to take us now is to dream a little about ways we could use AI prompts, so a language model. How could we create prompts that will push these interactions into a more dynamic, maybe more creative realm? What are some of your initial reactions? Like, what would you use AI for in this realm?
Can I jump on that one?
Of course.
Because I love that one. With like ChatGPT or Copy AI, Bard, whatever you're using, you can go in and give it the content or ask it to research something, and then ask it to create. So if my kind of overall thought process on this is to have a scenario-based discussion or something, I can say, hey, here's the content. This is the course. Act as a professor, and kind of give me some ideas on what a good scenario discussion would be. And then it could give you that, because it does a really good job when you're very specific with your prompts, but you always have to go in and then put in your personal parts and pieces to it to make it kind of really connect. So it's that writing assistant piece that's really helpful.
So would you say that when crafting the prompt, it would also be important to include CLOs?
I love that concept right there because, yes, because you can say, okay, and we'll do this in a minute, but the title of the class is, creating high performing teams through the development of psychological safety. CLO is to be able to explain the 4 stages of psychological safety. Maybe that's one of the CLOs. And then from there, so now give me some ideas to create a scenario-based discussion questions where students interact on the learner safety level, or something like that. And then it'll give you a list of ideas, and then you could kind of bring them out, if you will. And then if you use something like Grammarly, you can help it say, okay, now you can actually, okay, find gaps in the question, find spots where it'll be confusing. Because as we see it as experts in the field, sometimes we don't see that gap. Right?
Can you explain that a little more to me? Like, how does Grammarly identify that?
Well, they have an AI tool within Grammarly, and so I would write the prompt, say, oh, I like this concept here that I got. And then I would write the prompt in Grammarly, making sure that everything is written correctly. And then if you hit Grammarly Go, you can say identify gaps. And then sometimes it does a really good job, especially if you're writing a paper, it does a really good job. But if you're have a discussion question, it'll give you, say, well, maybe you want to explain what learner safety is within this discussion so they have better context, things like that. So AI is kind of everywhere within our what we do, especially when I do it, because like Ken and I are experts in psychological safety and team building, right?
Nice.
Somebody asked, well, learner safety, and okay, I know what that is, so I'm just pressing on. But if somebody's new to it, they need more context. So we want to make sure that we give them that context, because we don't want purposely overrun that, but it can happen. So it's like a safeguard.
Well, do we want to play a little bit and see what some of our ideas look like in the tools? What tool would you want to start with?
Kenna, what would you like to start with?
We can start with ChatGPT. I think that's probably the most well-known one at this point, but I did want to add a few things before we jump in.
Okay.
Of course, I'm very new to the faculty side of teaching and learning, but something I see that AI can be really helpful for faculty is definitely personalized feedback. And I think that that's a really good way to connect with students, especially in an asynchronous environment, if you are giving them a little bit more of a personalized learning experience. And the other thing as well is AI is actually really good at giving personalized resources where students may not have fully understood a concept, or they may be missing something. AI is a really good tool to get those resources and to get them the learning that they need just in time. And it's pretty customizable based on what the student has turned in or what they know. And as George mentioned, the more specific you are, usually you'll get better results from AI. So if you have that information about the student, or even if it's multiple students, it gives you a good base to go from when you're putting in your prompt and asking for more resources or more tools that you can offer them.
I love that you brought that up, and I want you to put a pin in that, because I would love to be able to see that happen in real time if we can make it happen. So I agree. I think ChatGPT is probably a good place to start, because pretty much everybody has heard of it at this point. If they haven't, they're living under a rock. So let's start there. Is this George or Kenna sharing your screen?
I just popped up ChatGPT.
Perfect.
And what do you say we run that scenario that we just had and see what it comes up with?
Do it. Let's do it.
Because we're actually actively creating this course. We created some what we believe are really good interactive discussions questions on scenarios. So I would say something like act as a professor Whoops. See, and I don't know how to type or spell, so we're just going to get that out of the way right now.
That's what Grammarly's for.
Right. Teaching a high performing teams course. High performing teams through the development of psychological safety. And then I'll say, you can actually copy and paste the content that you have for that week in there, or you can actually, so I would say if I had the content up and I was just going to copy and paste, that's generally what I do. I say, use this content, do not research. And then that way it focuses on only your content. It doesn't go out and look at other things. And that's a big deal if you want it to pertain exactly to what you're doing. But let's go to the Wild West today. And since we're just looking at this, and I'll say research, contributor safety, that's the third stage. And suggest 4 scenario-based discussion prompts. What else would you put, Ken? Oh, should we put the CLOs in here?
Yeah, I think you should.
Prompts, the discussion and content connect to the CLO. I don't have the CLO off the top of my head, so you're going to have to help me write a CLO. Maybe we'll just go with the explain one, right? Or no, we'll go with examine team dynamics through the lens of psychological safety. That one's a bit vague. Do we want to get more? Oh, and I can't spell lens. Do they spell lens like that in Europe? I don't know. Act as a professor teaching high-performing teams through development of psychological safety, research contributor safety, and suggest 4 scenario-based discussion prompts. The discussion and content connect to the CLO, examine team dynamics through the lens of psychological safety. So we just see what that comes up with. Now, generally, I would just copy the week's content, put it in there, and say, do not research. But we're going to have kind of fun in the Wild West right now. Should I be scared to click that go button?
Never, because it only takes a few seconds to get your response.
Yeah. Oh, so they're bringing up Amy Edmondson, Amy Edmondson and Timothy Clark are like the 2 top researchers at this time within psychological safety, which is cool. Oh, so it's going in kind of deep. The blame game.
That sounds fun.
Questions.
Yeah. That's not bad.
Not bad at all. So as we can see, it's coming up. So then I never just copy and paste it because you want it to pertain to, because you're working with a finite amount of students and you can see where the previous discussion kind of led, and through their questions and things, you know what's important to them. So I would use this like a writing assistant just to get those broad level ideas and then focus it on what the learners in that course need. And that always makes it more meaningful for everybody. But this helps because this reduces my time that I have to spend trying to figure out and write it up. I have a base idea.
Yeah, I like to call it the launch pad.
Oh, I love that.
It's like you don't spend as much time bouncing on the trampoline. You can just, launch instead.
Right? That's funny because Amazon just delivered this morning my trampoline mat because our one kind of had some of the springs broken. So that's kind of an amazing analogy this morning.
We're mind melding.
Right. So that's what I'm going to be doing this afternoon, putting on a new trampoline mat.
That is not an easy job.
So let's take a look at some of these questions, shall we? In what ways has team psychological safety been compromised? So that's kind of vague, right? So I would maybe take that and fine tune that quite a bit. Because I'd say, okay, so from the perspective of psychological safety, we're looking at contributor safety. How can we kind of repair contributor safety, and what has it done to the two stages below it, which are learner safety and inclusion safety? And then, so I would kind of just start tying it in more tightly, I guess. What would you do, Kenna?
Yeah, definitely. Like we've all said, I think all AI tools are kind of more brainstorming tools or just tools in general, and it's not something that you should copy and paste and just go with. But in general, I think the case studies or scenarios are a little bit short. So if it was me, I think I would add a little bit more detail or more, I guess, items for the student to consider when they're reading that case study, and then kind of tailor the questions to fit what you would want them to answer, like you said, after reviewing what they said in previous discussions and things like that.
I love that. Can we play with this one more time? So let's pick one. Do we want 1, 2, or 3? Whoops.
Which one was the blame game? That one sounded
the blame
interesting.
game. Okay. Let's see what happens. So expand on the scenario or discussion prompt 2. The blame game. Make the scenario specific to an engineering team.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. What do you think? Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Wild West time. Let's do it.
I'm always curious when I click go, like, how is it going to interpret what I just said?
Right.
I will say, when I've used this for other projects, sometimes I'm limited by how long it can be. Like if I'm doing a 1-minute video, it needs to be a shorter script. And if you just type it in for ideas, sometimes it'll spit out 5 pages worth of content. And if you just tell it, like, I'm only doing a 1-minute script, it'll chop it down and synthesize it for you.
It will. That's so. It kind of went a little nuts on us here.
It did. That's why I brought that up.
Yeah. But it got detailed. So we are now on a team in a critical phase of building a hybrid engine. I love that. I wonder if Elon Musk is. No, it'd be all electric if Elon Musk was our boss at that time.
No
right?
hybrids.
Never mind. So bummer. The project lead, Alex, experienced engineer. So it sets up people and it gives that scenario. So it kind of draws people in. So that's kind of cool to be able to do that. And then again, you would want to, make it specific for the students that you're working with within your class.
So say you decided to run with this and bring some form of this into the course. How would that pan out for you in terms of interaction? How would this lead to those more engaging interactions with the students?
You want to take that on first, Ken, or you want me to take it on first?
Sure, I can talk about that a little bit. I think the first step in having more engagement just in general is making it something that the students care about and matter to them. So, by kind of tailoring what you're asking them to do based on what they've previously had questions about or wanted to know more about, I think that will automatically just increase the students' engagement. And then I also think by, responding to them or responding to their posts on the discussion forum, asking questions, clarifying if they have questions, and kind of fostering that discussion among you and all of the students. I think all of those things lead to it. But like I said, I think this is a really good first step to getting to that point, because it's really hard to engage with students if they're also not engaged.
Totally.
I love how you brought up, it needs to be important to them.
Mm-hmm.
That can we put like 5 exclamation points on the screen? Because that is such a wonderful statement, because it doesn't matter if it's a fantastic scenario for somebody else. If it doesn't pertain to their needs, nobody cares. Like, I would be all excited about a hybrid engine and being on an engineer team, but not everybody is, right? So we have to
Yeah, and I wouldn't be like,
Okay.
oh man.
Take it into like design or media or animation, and I'm with you.
right where I would be lost.
Exactly.
I'd be like, what Callista said, what Kenna said. But yeah, when we could, and that's kind of the key for using any AI tools, like we've been saying. It's important that our focus is on the needs of the students we're having that conversation with, because when we can create that real world scenario, in this case, that pertains to them, that they have that draws them in, the conversations become really real, and that's where we as instructors add a lot of value.
Yeah.
Because we then use our experience within very similar situations to add into that discussion and ask those questions that tear apart theory and make people dive into the realness of it. Because theory is great, but theory is generally in a vacuum, right? So we can apply certain things from theory, but when it's applied as a theory in that vacuum, the enemy doesn't get a vote. So all the crazy things that happen in the world don't get to hit that theory. So when we apply it, all the different dynamics that we deal with in teams, the world, manufacture, whatever it may be, they twist and turn and make things quite a bit different. So that's where we bring in our experience and add the value to the classroom.
Something that has stuck out to me in this part of our conversation is, making the student feel included and making what you're about to teach relevant to them. Could you use AI to come up with icebreaker prompts that help you get to know the student quickly, so that you can then take the content and make it more relevant to them?
I think you definitely could.
Yeah. Like, should we play with that a little bit? Maybe in a different tool, like Copy AI or Bing or Bard. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay. You want to pull one up?
Sure. Which tool would you like? What do you think would be a good one for that one?
Let's try Bing. I think that's or I don't know. Which one are you feeling? I haven't played with Bing much.
For something like that, Bing can work, I think. But I think Bard would also be a good option for something like that. And it's so funny. I don't know if you guys know this, but sometimes I will ask Bard to do something a little more technical and to search the internet for things, and it's like, oh, sorry, I can't do that. So the tools are pretty aware of their limits.
Yes, that's very true. I have had that response before when trying to get something very specific, or I've even tried to test it before, being like, write this paper for me, and they'll be like, no. I'm like, good. I'm glad you didn't. I was just testing.
We're doing can I plug our Grammarly study real quick before we
Sure.
We're working with Grammarly, and we're actually conducting a study to see if that real-time AI feedback within English courses is more helpful than, that summative feedback at the end. So we're right. We've just started. We're a few weeks into it. We have several weeks to go. So we'll see, because maybe that real-time AI feedback helps learners perform better than that formative at the end feedback, if they've already gone through the process. So kind of cool. And it won't write like what prompted me was Calista said, when you go in, if I say, okay, write me an essay for this prompt, it won't do it.
Yeah.
But it will walk you through how to say, hey, let's create an outline. What do you think? And then it actually creates an AI interaction between you and the tool. It's pretty crazy.
It is. All right, we've got like 5 more minutes to play
Oh,
So
go, Kenna, go.
let's go over
Sorry.
to Bard and let's play with that idea of like an icebreaker type of activity for specifically so the faculty can get to know the students quickly to make their content more relevant or their interactions more relevant.
So I have here, can you provide me with 10 icebreaker activities to complete in an asynchronous, because for us we're asynchronous, course to help me get to know my students. Can't spell this word apparently. Let's see what that comes up with. I love that you can give it prompts and then it, you can just adjust them if it doesn't give you what you want, or you can ask for 20 more ideas or whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
All right. So we have introduce yourself, ask their names, pronouns, hometown, hobbies, and why they're taking your course. That might be a good one if you want to kind of gauge where they're at with the content, like if they know a lot of information already or if they don't.
Can you zoom your screen in a little so we can read it
Yeah.
better? Those of us who have older eyes.
Is that a little better?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. We have share a fun fact, create a playlist. That's kind of fun. I know some courses do like a course playlist for all of their students, which might be something fun to do.
Oh, like a collaborative playlist that they
Yeah.
could add their favorite song to? That would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I know you can do that on Spotify. Okay, anyways, what else?
Post a picture, share a quote, write a short story. That one's kind of interesting. I don't know if students would be super inclined to do that one.
It's like, is it worth points? Maybe not.
If I'm not getting points, I'm not writing a short story.
Exactly. We have solve a puzzle. I feel like that might be really fun.
I love puzzles.
Play a game, take a poll, or have a discussion. So
I use poll everywhere quite often for polls in the
nice
within the LMS. Make like word cloud stuff. That's fun.
But yeah, I mean, I think these first 10 ideas are all usable. And then as the faculty, you could let your creativity run wild, or you could ask it to give you 10 more. Like I have had the experience where when I've asked it to generate more ideas after the initial 10, sometimes it'll get a little repetitive. And I've even had like ChatGPT ask me, was this answer better? And then it'll give you the option of saying like it was repetitive. And so that actually trains it to do better for the next person, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I love this idea of approaching the tool as a faculty with your student in mind. Like, how can I better interact with them? Give me some ideas. Like maybe you've been teaching for a long time and you've been using the same recipe every time you walk into an online classroom. Instead of doing the same thing over and over again, you could come to a tool like AI and really inject some more creativity into what you're doing to make the experience more fun for yourself as well, because you never know what's going on out there and what's new and what students these days are expecting even. Well, do you guys have any final thoughts before we move into our wrap up? What would you like to share?
I just encourage faculty members and everyone to try it out. There's no harm in trying it. And I know it's a little scary sometimes, but I think it's a really good tool to help you brainstorm. And the more experience you have, the better prompts you'll write and the better return it'll give you.
That's a really good point. Like the first time you write a prompt, it's probably going to be terrible, but it'll give you that glimpse into how the tool works, which will honestly help you get better at using it more quickly. And I'm pretty sure you could even ask the tool, like, what questions should I ask you in order to get the answer that I want? And it would give you some ideas. That's kind of the fascinating part about this technology. It's very interactive.
That's what I love about Copy AI. You write your prompt,
Mhm.
and then it has a button that says improve it.
Yeah, that's a really cool feature.
I'm like, oh, I love it. Improve it.
Yeah. Do you want to give us a quick example of that real quick, just so we can see it on the
Oh,
screen?
absolutely.
Maybe we'll take 2 more minutes just to see that in real.
Okay. Well, a time to a teacher is like kryptonite to Superman. It's hard. It's just hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's copy AI. Let me on the screen, and let's just say write a prompt for a discussion in my psych safety course.
Mm.
So that's pretty vague and not a very good one, right? So let's see what it says when we hit improve. Oh, I didn't hit improve. I hit go. Sorry. Okay. So hit improve. Now it's thinking about it. Now, create a thought-provoking prompt for discussion on psychological safety in the workplace, encouraging participants. Then it gives instructions. And then insert thought-provoking prompt here. And then you just hit click. And there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah, so all you really have to do is hit improve a couple times, and you AI is training me what's going on right now.
I know, that's interesting. But I mean, for someone who's never done this before, that could be the bridge over that gap that they feel between themselves and the tool, right?
Yeah.
Just
And
having
it's
that.
important to remember it's just a tool.
Right. That's why I keep using that word, because so many people are intimidated by this technology. But again, it's not this technology that's going to take over the world. It's the people who learn how to use it.
Right. What's that one saying? It's you're not going to be replaced by AI, but you will be replaced by somebody who knows how to use AI.
Exactly. That is the key takeaway. Let's be the people who learn how to use it, not the people who become irrelevant.
Don't want to be irrelevant.
Speaking of relevant, we have a program that I'd like to talk about. We are launching, or have launched, our Masters of Science in Instructional Design and Technology. It's a competency-based program, and it can be completed in about 16 months for around $10,000, but it is self-paced. And so you pay as you go, and that cost will reflect the speed at which you choose to learn at. But we have designed it in a way that is really engaging and interactive, and you get to learn in ways that are super relevant to you and how you intend to use your degree. So we encourage you to visit our website. You can scan that QR code or email msidt@lapu.edu for more information. That'll connect you directly to George. He is our assistant dean on this program. And if that is something you are interested in, we are happy to share more information with you and get you started on your learning journey. That's all we have for you today, but we thank you again so much for coming and listening, and we hope that you learned something new today. And we just really appreciate the time that you choose to spend with us on Thursday morning or whenever you watch the replay. So thanks again, and we will see you next time. This is what learning feels like.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.